Hello, Open Office. We have a visitor today. That's exciting. It's hard to answer questions when there's no one to ask them.
I have to remember what I asked.
I
Like,
wrote
wait a
them
minute.
down.
Oh, bless your heart. Of course you did.
Yeah, I was going to attempt to answer them even if you were not able to hop on today and see what I could come up with for a video.
I love
Um,
it.
the questions you asked were how to represent your business and brand in public, how to create and present a PowerPoint and how long, and where to look in your community.
Well, exactly. Nailed it.
Okay. Well, we can just start right with the first one, how to represent your business brand in public. I guess the question for me is, what exactly do you mean by represent your business and brand in public? Because there's a lot of different things that could mean.
Right. So I want to be niching down into the market. Someone who sees me will automatically know what I'm all about by looking at me, by hearing my name, uh, and just what that looks like to somebody looking at me when it's hard to see yourself, when you think you're already there
Okay.
and you see all that, but on the outside looking in, like that's not what anybody else sees.
Um,
How do you position yourself? What do
yeah.
you do? Where do you go to live, to be, to become?
So I think
Start.
that for that specifically, um, you really have to be constantly like talking about the things you do, not necessarily like I do this in real estate specifically, but talking about, I know yours is historic homes and that type of thing. So you always want to be talking about the different things that are entailed in historic homes when you're at different events. So like when you meet somebody new and they're like, what do you do? Instead of just being like, I'm a real estate agent, you can answer with like a elevator pitch sort of slogan instead of I'm a real estate agent. And I mean, it might take you a little while to come up with the exact like short version of that you love, right? That really just flows out of you every time someone asks. But you'd want it to be something like I specialize in locating historic homes, or I specialize in helping people find and restore historic homes because maybe you are building a list of vendors that can help do those restorations that keep the historic value while also making it fresh and new. Um, I read a book called Introvert's Guide to Networking or something like that. And it talks a lot about building that. Keep calling it an elevator pitch. He calls it something completely different, but it's kind of like the thing that you call yourself every time someone asks, every time you meet somebody new, so that before long, you are known as like whatever that is that you determine it to be. But it's because you are repeating it to everybody that you meet. And I mean, you could even put the slogan once you have nailed it down and you know it and love it, like across the back window of your car or on your business cards, or like if you do, I don't have any in here. If you do like the buyer and seller guides, you can put it right on the cover of those so that they're there for everybody to see always. And then pretty soon you're just known as Historic Kimber, or I mean, it's not going to be that because that doesn't really tell what you do. And you want it to tell what you do, not just be a slogan. You want it to really like encompass that. And it can be like one sentence, it can be like two sentences. Obviously, you don't want it to be like paragraphs because when someone says, hey, it's nice to meet you, you don't want to be like, I'm blah, 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 blah.
That's what I do. I just throw up all over them. I'm like, where
Yeah,
do you want to start?
right,
What
right.
don't I do?
And if you get that like sentence or two, right? like nailed down and that's what you say every single time, it just becomes habit. It just is like, it just falls out. Um, it won't be like a struggle to find the words to explain what you do. I mean, afterwards, if they ask you a bunch more questions, maybe then it will be, but once you have that like pitch down, even answering their questions will become automatic because once you have the first part, then you're going to nail down the next part. And so then as people ask more, you'll be able to concisely answer them without giving them too much, without word vomiting on them. But that book, if you grab the audio or the book itself, even if you don't read the whole thing, if you look for those parts about like giving yourself that slogan, you might find that beneficial. I think he calls himself like I cannot remember what he calls himself, but he has his own even that he created so that when he goes out into the world, he's like the fast problem solver. I don't remember what it is, but something like that. And that's what he coaches people. I don't know if he still does, but he used to coach people. And that was the first thing he would work on them with is getting that about me elevator pitch like down and ingrained in them so that when they go out into the world, they're just, I am this. And it's never like I'm a real estate agent. It's never like I am a business owner. It's always an action more than it's a thing.
Elevator pitch, motto, slogan needs to be action, solving the problem for someone,
Yep.
and being my face as the person,
Yep.
not just a logo or in the logo itself, my face as well for recognition.
I mean,
Like,
yes, at some point, but like when you're meeting people, like yes, you want your face on things. Like if you have signs made, put your face on them if you're comfortable with that. Obviously, there are some people that are not comfortable with that for what, because the houses they list or whatever. But yeah, put your face on it. But the biggest part is that as you meet all of these people and as you see them again, even if you meet them the second or third or fourth or fifth or 10th time, you're repeating that same exact slogan, like, hi, I'm Kimber and I'm whatever your slogan is. Because then, even if you've met them 30 times, they're going to know you as whatever your slogan is. So that when they are talking to other people, they'll be like, did you meet Kimber? She's that blah, 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 whatever your slogan is. And they will start repeating that for you so that you just become known as. And then people will automatically recognize your face with that slogan as well. And see, sometimes I have a hard time with doing that because I am list all the things, right? So when I've tried to make my slogan, yeah, I just got overwhelmed and ditched it. But it's still on my bookshelf waiting for me to see if I can figure out what I want to be when I grow up so I can have a single slogan.
slogan. Be like a doppelganger, one of those ones that multiply, like multiplicity all
Yeah.
in one
Yeah.
circumference or something.
I can
Yeah.
just put all my doppelgangers in different colored shirts and be like, the blue one is this, and the pink one is this, and the green one is that. Get out there and conquer the world.
There you go. Yep. Love it. Love it. Oh,
So does
that's
that
good.
answer that question?
It does. And I think it plays an important part too, just to what your purpose, what you're not only wanting to become, but actually becoming it as you're going and growing. So, like you said, it becomes ingrained, it becomes a part of you. So when people do just see you, it's not in my head where how come they don't know this? Like this is what I said. It's the actionable steps to get to that point where yes, I am just driving around and looking at old houses, and I am that person, and not really care about what I guess I gotta get out of my own head too. That's the biggest thing, and just get in front of people doing it and how I want that to look for my own business, and not analysis paralysis because I can go down that rabbit hole multiple times a day
Yeah. Well, and I
and
think
nothing gets
also
done.
that once you have that like slogan and you have
Mhm,
all the responses that go with that slogan, right? Which will take
mhm,
longer than the slogan, I would think. Um, you just have an answer all the time. It's
mhm,
not something you have to think about.
mhm,
If you like are walking down a sidewalk where there's two or three houses because you want to like look at those historic houses, right? And someone
mhm.
stops you and says, what are you doing here? You have your slogan already. You don't have to like try to be concerned that you're doing something wrong, because people can make you feel that way the way they approach you. If they approach you like, what are you doing in my neighborhood? Right.
Mhm.
Even if you're not doing anything wrong, that can feel intimidating. Where if you have that slogan built into you, you can just respond with like, oh, I'm Kimber and I blah blah blah, your slogan. Maybe
Mhm.
hand them a card or a pen with your slogan on it, or whatever, so that you can just go on with your day like, oh, or they can be like, oh really, that's cool, and then ask you more questions. And then you don't have that like internal dialogue of, oh my gosh, should I be walking around looking at these houses in this neighborhood? Because let's be real, that can just be intimidating all by itself, especially if people are aggressive when they approach you, which we know definitely happens.
Absolutely. 100%. Nope, that's good.
I'm going to skip the PowerPoint one for now and go to where to look in your community. What exactly do you mean by where to look in your community?
Yeah. So there's so many things now that I'm out into the world and I don't know where to start. I get overwhelmed at you should join this club. You should do this. This is what everybody else does, or this is where your pool of people are. This is, and I have no interest in pretty much all of it, to be honest with you. So I'm like, how do I run my business on not wanting to go or do or the how can I help? How can I grow in that community and show others how a community works without being in a gazillion places at once in that heartbeat aspect of because that's what saved me really. I mean, with my story, and it was a friendship that was anchored in faith and rooted in community, and I never had that growing up. So I really want to make it a part of my story, my heartbeat story, and put that back into and give to the community for those maybe growing up not knowing what that looks like or who that is. And through real estate, I feel like that's my calling to do that. And I not like I said, not growing up in community, not really doing community, but dipping my toes now as a mother who is in a transition season herself of adult kids and finding herself to recreating and discovering and growing all simultaneously. I get overwhelmed. And when I do get overwhelmed, I do get shut down and nothing happens at that point. So I just need one, the accountability, which I love my CommuniKey accountability agents, and the where to start, where to look, how does it favor in part of my business as well, because we all got to get paid, but I still want to help, right? But there's so many, and then everybody wants nothing but your time. So it's valuable, it's treasure. I've just lost as far as where to start and how many to join or become a part of or become a part of me because I don't want to just check that box. I want to be a part. I want to dive in. I want to live that. So how do I find that space?
So I think that's a little bit more difficult because in this industry specifically, you really have to be networking. You have to always be meeting new people or building the relationships with the people you've known, right? Because without that, you don't get the referral business. You don't have people automatically knowing to call Kimber when somebody says, hey, what about that house? Right. But yes, it becomes very overwhelming, especially when you feel passionate about this group and that group and this group and the other group and the 75 other ones that are lined up behind it. So my thought on that is first, make a list of all of the groups that you actually are interested in. And then take a look at what's available about them to figure out which ones truly match your passion. Because some of them you may be able to eliminate or put at the lower priority of your list pretty quickly, depending on like what they actually do to do that thing that you feel passionate about. And then I wouldn't say that you need to join all of them is the trick, right? We feel like we need to join them because when we go to one of their meetings or one of their events, they make us feel like we must be part of their group. You don't have to be part of their group to participate and get to know the people in the group so that you don't have that like full obligation to go to everything that they are putting on. So I would first go through and go to a couple of the events for the different people once or the different groups once you have figured out which ones you think should be a priority. And then if they're not, if you go to their things and you're like, no, all they want to do is pressure me to join, or it's not really what I thought, then you can remove them, but maybe still go to one of their events once in a while, just to meet the people in it. And then what happens is that even if you don't mesh with that whole group and their goals and their plans, you can still have people on your list to meet for coffee or to meet for lunch or whatever to discuss whatever it is that one, that group may be doing that you do like, and two, what you do in the community as a whole. So the goal of those groups and stuff, besides giving back and being part of a community, is also to meet new people that you can interact with and build relationships with outside of that group. And the CEO, I think it is, I can't remember what her title is at the Flint and Genesee group. She's a super introvert and hates social events, hates networking events, cannot stand to go to them. You will see her at them. She does not like them. But she actually created a spreadsheet, and I've never got her to share it with me. I probably can get her to if I ask her, but she created a spreadsheet that she keeps open on her computer all the time. And she set metrics of I need to talk to at least this many new people every week. And she tracks it in her spreadsheet so that she holds herself accountable to that. And so when she goes to a networking event that she hates and doesn't want to go to, she goes with a goal. My goal is to meet one new person and to schedule a coffee or lunch with that person.
That's brilliant. I was just going to ask, what's a great way to keep yourself accountable?
Yeah.
And it always boils down to the numbers pretty much too, but having that at the top of your mind and knowing that that's what needs to get done, it makes it a lot easier with the game plan heading into it
Mm-hmm.
than just willy-nillying it.
And
Is there any?
if you go look at your spreadsheet or whatever you use to track, right?
Mhm.
And you have nothing on days and days and days, you can be like, "Oh, I am not doing that thing I said I was going to do." So, if you are really truly holding yourself accountable, you will look at that and go, "Okay, get those scheduled right now so that I don't keep not doing it." Or if it is too overwhelming, you'll shut down and you still won't do it. So the goal would be to be holding yourself accountable. One of the things that I use, I got this document from Etsy, but it's like the year, and each one of those boxes is a date. And so I use this to track. This one specifically is for my walks. So you see for the year, the blue ones are all the dark blue ones are all the ones I've walked this year, the days. The light blue one is a day that I did other activities, didn't walk. And then the white ones are the ones that I didn't go walk. So you could do something like this to make it a little more enjoyable to track. Um, with you could say I've made 3 coffee appointments this week, or whatever the number you choose is, right? 3 is typically a good number from what I understand in listening to other people. 3 is a lot for me. I would prefer 1, maybe 2, but 3 is supposedly good. But if you said, I'm going to use this to color in, right? Because you can just print it off on a piece of paper and you put it on top of your planner or whatever you carry around with you all day, tape it to the top of your laptop, whatever. And every day that you meet that goal, you color in the day. And then when you don't, you use a different color. So you can be like, yep, fucked up that day. Oops, pardon my mouth. This could be on YouTube. So whatever. Uh, uh,
Real and raw.
yeah, whatever. I just am who
Love it.
I am, right?
I love
And
it.
then you can easily see too, like on something like this, that I did what I said I was going to do. And
That's
you're not
that's
looking
just for
at
your
this.
walking.
This one is just for
You
my
say you
walk.
give one of it. just for walking or exercise. So I would have a whole nother one of those if I were doing something for
Yeah,
like belly to bellies
you could use
coffees.
them for anything. Yep. Yeah, you
Oh,
could
wow.
just print as many pages.
I
You can
did
make a
see
whole
that.
binder of them as you want. If you wanted a whole binder of them and named each page, I'm only using it right now for walking because I lost that habit a while ago and I need to rebuild it. So that's what I'm using mine for right now. But I could just scroll over, make another page and call it something else and track it a different way, color them different colors for different things if I wanted to.
No, I like that. Thank you for explaining it because I did see it honestly. And I'm like, what in tarnations? This is like overwhelming. And
Yeah.
then once you just put it into words, and I'm a color like hands-on person. I do that, you know that before anything electronic. So keeping myself accountable and touching the pages and reading it or drawing it or coloring it in,
Yep.
that's what works for me. So
Yeah.
I will definitely have to print a couple of those out now, but no more than three.
Yeah, I wouldn't do too many at once. Not until you build the habit. Once you
That
build the
right,
habit, then you
right.
can eliminate one and change it for another. I
That's
actually
good.
got the idea from another teacher friend of mine who was using it for something else that she was tracking, and she actually keeps hers on her fridge and colors it. So like the top of your laptop, your fridge, somewhere where you will see it all the time is ideal.
Correct.
And then
Yep.
just keep, like whatever colors you chose to color it in your pencil case or your purse or wherever you keep your writing utensils, and then bam, I did it, color it in, feel all proud. And then at the end of the year, you can really look and see, like, did the actions I take on my tracker benefit my business? And you don't have to go hunting things down because you'll know if your business was good or not at the end of the year. You got to track your stuff for taxes and life and all that. So that's the other thing that's good about seeing it like that is it's very visual and it's all on one page. You're not scrolling through a bunch of calendar pages or anything like that to see if you did what you said you were going to do.
Love it. Other self accountability app or anything to keep yourself motivated in your daily grind, the gratitude, grit and grind of the day?
Um, I mean, I love checking things off my to-do list. So, I mean, that's one way is I always put the things that are going on a tracker on my to-do list so that I can make sure I mark it off. Because if I don't mark it off, I'm mad that my list didn't get shorter.
Mm.
Or that I have to like draw a line through instead of marking it as done. So that's one thing I like to do for holding myself accountable is I write down everything that I need to do for the day. Like today's list is pretty short and only two things are highlighted so far. But to be fair, at least one of those things I can't do yet. I'm waiting for my accountant to finish their stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's another way I like to do it is always write down the whole list of the day's activities. And the other thing too that it's totally a brain thing. It's like trick your brain into thinking you did better. Is that if I do something that is sort of big or important, but I didn't have it on my list, I write it down and cross it off. Highlight it like I did it. Woohoo, I did that, even though it wasn't originally on the list. So yesterday we got a counter offer or yesterday we were countering on an offer we got and I didn't write it on my list because we got it, talked about it, I was writing it up. And so after I wrote it up, got it signed and sent it, I wrote submit counter offer. And then it's
That's
like, oh
awesome.
look, I did another thing. So
Hmm.
that's another way I like to hold myself accountable is always having that. And I do it on my electric notebook now, mostly, but previously I always did them in these like
Okay.
notebooks
Hmm.
because I still like paper, but I use this more now for like notes and journaling than I do for my to-do list. Um, but writing it, if you're more paper, then do it on paper. I will probably never give up having a paper notebook. It's the weirdest thing. Just feels different. So you could do paper if you don't want to do electric. I find that because I have this now, it's way easier to carry 75 notebooks around with me than it is if I have actually 75 notebooks.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, I don't know if I have all the answers at all for accountability, but there's a
Well,
few
it's perspective.
spreadsheet, make notes, mark them off. I think marking them off really like gives you that boost to keep going, makes you feel
Mhm.
like you've accomplished, especially if you go back at the end of your day. So I look at my planner every morning and every evening. and randomly throughout the day as I'm marking stuff off, right? But if I don't go and do it when I do the thing, then when I sit down that evening and check it over, that's when I'll mark them off. And when I'm moving the items that didn't get done to the next day, it feels way better when I only have to look back and forth two times or three times than like 10 times to copy those items back over.
Are you a puzzle person, Tracy?
Am I a puzzle person? I
I feel like
mean,
your
a
brain
little
works
bit.
like a puzzle
I don't have a
to
lot of
de-stress.
patience to sit and do puzzles anymore, but I
Every
get
time
like,
I get, that's exactly it. I think just my patience, right? We live in the world
uh,
of instant gratification,
yeah.
and you label yourself and you see where others are at, and you're like, come on, like why me? What am I doing wrong? So it's very, yeah, just to find your people for one and have the accountability for yourself. And I'm learning how to do that with the discipline. I don't know why it's very hard for me. So having the right people, I think, in your alignment and just believing in you enough in yourself is key to learning just to, yeah, just do it.
Well, and I
So,
think it's important to remember too that it's not just you that that's hard for. It's hard for me too. People look at me and go, "You just, it's so easy for you." It's not. It's
mhm,
work.
right.
There are definitely days that I lay in bed longer than I should and go, I don't know. Do I have anything scheduled? Nope. You know what? I'm just going to take another hour then because I can. Maybe I'll take it on the couch instead of bed because there's nothing to do laying in my bed. I don't have a TV in my room or anything. I can't like, watch TV. But yeah, no, some days are a struggle too for everybody. It's not just you. That's one thing it's that I've found that it's most important to remember and when we are struggling with stuff like that is to remember that we're not the only humans that do that. There's like everybody does that at some point. No matter what you see out in public, somebody else is going through that same nonsense also. It took them 2 extra hours to get moving that day. Or, 2 extra days to get moving that
Right.
week.
Yeah, let's be honest. It's the roads were slippery. Graham Blank was called off from school. Just
like,
cancel my day.
you know what?
We're
This
all home.
coffee and this couch and this
I
blanket,
know.
they're
It's like,
amazing
oh,
right
I
now.
need to get in the head, in the mind of my own battlefield and just work that, and everything else would follow. Hopefully, anyway. I'm reading the book David Goggins. I don't know if you've heard of him,
I haven't.
but that's he's all about the mind and growth mindset and changing and doing the impossible. And
Hmm.
it just starts with you and your purpose, your why, your will. But you hear that over and over and over, and you just beat yourself down further and further and further when you don't have that peace. So until you get that piece, all the stuff that he went through, to tell his story, to do what he is doing now, and all the shit that happened to you, that still has to happen. That's happening now, and it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So embracing it, working through it, and like you said, you're not alone. So just speaking truth into it, and that's how you're going to find your people and your help too. So, like, you know me with public speaking sets. I'm like, I'm going to join Toastmasters. What
Yeah.
is Toastmasters? Public speaking. Great. It's hard. It's uncomfortable until
I
it's not.
hate public speaking. And what is so funny is when I was a teacher, because I was a teacher, that's all I did is talk to people all day long in front of a whole group, right?
You so naturally. I know.
In front of my classroom, I could just all day. It didn't bother me at all. You put
Mhm.
me at an assembly in front of the whole school. Nope, couldn't do it. Would shake, stutter, turn red, sweat. Yep. Don't
Mhm.
understand it. Same
Right.
students, just, like 20 classrooms of them instead of one. Same staff that I talk to at staff meetings, doesn't matter. But I'm standing in front of all of them, and all of a sudden I don't even know the English language.
You go blank, right? Like
Yeah.
all these eyes. So I'm
Yep.
having to relearn how I'm being seen and how I want to be seen and just get over myself through that. And I'm tired of being like scared and fear. Like it's controlling. I'm like, where can I grow in my business and where has it stopped me
Yeah.
in the past? And I think I told you this before, it's just getting in front of people and speaking,
Yeah.
period. I
Overcoming
started with
that
small
fear is
groups.
one of our biggest hurdles a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
And I
it.
do think
Scared. Do it. Do it scared.
do it. Do it. Yes, I know. And they're always like on the other side, it's that 1%, or you give up right before the gold is right there too.
Yeah.
And like that's where the magic happens is in that peace, in that fear.
Yeah.
So
It is. Because that's where you will feel the most accomplished. is when you
Hmm.
overcome that, because you'll go, oh, I didn't even die.
Right, right. So embracing that and keeping that mindset and growing in that. And then where do I go from here? Because then it's just it was already done. What's next?
Right.
Where it was
Yeah.
a
You're
whole
like,
life
okay, that
hurdle.
was easy. Now what?
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Okay. Well, you want to know about PowerPoints. Have you ever made a PowerPoint?
Well, yeah, no, that is not my forte.
Well, there's a lot of ways you can do it, actually. Hold on, I'm gonna pull something up here that will
For
I
beginners, like dumb this down.
so I don't have PowerPoint because I use Mac. But Google has Sheets, which is the same thing, or slides, I mean, sorry. And I mean, I have Keynote, that's the Mac version, and you can create these also in Canva. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I have never done that. Actually, maybe I have done that once, but it's not something I'm super familiar with. But you can do it in Canva. Find the right page here to share. All right. So in Google, we have slides, which is basically PowerPoint. Um, and the thing about PowerPoint, I have made, I don't know, in PowerPoint itself, I've made hundreds and hundreds of PowerPoints. I used to have the Mac version of actual PowerPoint until I learned how to use Keynote. Um, but there's tons of templates that you can start with. You don't have to start from scratch. A lot of times I do start from scratch because the templates don't match what I want. Like these are all ones that I made in here or got from other people in here, it looks like, except for this one, maybe that one. But you can go through the templates and just pick something that you like how it looks. It doesn't even have to be related to what you're doing because you can change anything you want about it. But frequently starting from the template is just the easiest because it's already, laid out for you a little bit. So like if I were to go to this project, oh, no, that's an add-on I should read before I do things. Oh, that'll work. So if I go to this, then I can see how they have their pages laid out and what they have 25 slides. So I can determine if that works for whatever it is I am presenting on. So the thing about your question on how long to make it, that's going to very much depend on why you're making it. If you are presenting to a group about, well, say like Cody does that women's in business thing that she did. Say you were presenting to that, and she said each person's going to have 20 minutes. Then you are going to want to make this 20 minutes long. And that could be 25 slides or that could be 5 slides, depending on how you lay your slides out. If you are using the slide to like bolster what you're saying, you might have fewer slides. If you are using the slides to guide you more directly, you're probably going to have more slides. So each slide could be one of your talking points. And it can either contain most of what you're going to say, or it can just contain like the bullet points, and then you're going to keep talking past those bullet points. This one is actually laid out kind of cool for an outline for presenting. So it's laid out with the problem, the solution, I don't know what wireframes are, whatever this people want to do their project about, right? And then the next steps. So you could make this like um, the overview, the types of properties, the types of renovations, and then a wrap up, right? So you might do it like that if you're doing it about working with historic homes and renovating them. And then these, you would just put like pictures in there. You can change the color, you can change the theme, you can change anything. You can start from complete scratch if you don't like any of the templates you see and you don't want to have to deal with editing this, editing these pictures and changing all of that. Nice thing about PowerPoint too is that if you're going to have your computer while you're presenting in front of you, or your iPad or whatever it is that you're presenting from onto the big screen, you can put speaker notes down here. So you can put like whatever it is you're going to say, you can put in there, and the audience can't see that part. So instead of holding like something in your hand to look at, you can have it right on the screen so that when you present this, see if I can remember how to present on here. So when you present, that's not it. There we go. Presenter view. So then when you're presenting, you can see your speaker notes on the side. So up on the screen, they'll see the whole slide, but on your screen, you will see this where you can see the different slides. And then if you have notes on there, it'll come up on this side next to here, if that makes sense.
Where did you go for that?
Let me stop this. Go back to the regular screen. Oops. So if you go to the slideshow button up here and you click on the arrow and then go to presentation display options, then you would pick presenter view. So then the people that it's presenting to see the whole screen, but you see it in this small little box that has your notes in it. So this, if I had notes on this box, this white box here would have my notes. And then if you're doing it like online, you can do this too, where people can answer and stuff like that. But on here, you would just have your notes typed out on this thing right here. Doesn't look like you can add them here. You have to add them previously. But if you started with a blank one, you can pick your type of pages down this side. So this is like the first page, and these are like your, so you can pick your designs like this. When you're adding slides, insert new slide. Oops. It's been a while since I used these, but yeah. So you can pick the layout you want. So if you've picked a template, you can pick which page out of that template you want to apply next. So you could pick this one and have two boxes of stuff. If you add another slide, you can go to apply layout, and then you can scroll through here and find which one you like to do the next one. So maybe you want to do one like this next, so that you can create each slide to match exactly what you want instead of whatever a template already picks for the order. Does that help get you started on the PowerPoints? What other questions do you
Yes,
have?
definitely.
It's been a while since I've made a PowerPoint, and I haven't used this since the boot camp. I haven't used the Google
Google.
Slides boot camp.
This is free, right? This is something you can just quick
Yeah.
whip up and just
Yep.
it's like a plug and chug. And you
Yep.
can do your layouts and the notes. Nope, that's all I need is just a starting point. I don't got to get fancy.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
I know you can do them in Canva. Let me open Canva real quick and see. Presentation. So in Canva, you can create a presentation, it's just called. And they have some pre-made also. And then you can pick which slides you want to add to it. And so then down here at the bottom, To get my controls for Zoom out of the way. Down here out of the bottom, each one of these boxes would be your slides instead of them being down the side like they were in that. So if you wanted something a little more like fun to look at, you can probably find some more interesting designs here than you would in Google's version. Because you have all of you have all of Canva, which is way more creative looking than any PowerPoint will ever be. But then you can just go through and pick different slides that match your goal. And here, the cool thing about this is like, if you look right here, it says apply all 10 pages or apply style only. If you choose style only, it will just give you the style to go with it. It won't put these pages in specifically. But if you choose to apply all 10 pages, it will put all of those pages in that you can just edit. So if you know you like the layouts on these, you can just import them all and then edit them to be what you want them to be. And then like if you want to change pictures and stuff, it's just like doing it in any other Canva design. And then you can download that and you can put notes in that just like you can. The cool thing about Canva, doing it in Canva, is you can present it right from Canva as well. So you don't have to download it. If you want to just present it from here, you just present it from here and it looks like this. So it opens a presenter window for you and it'll have your notes here. And then as you go through the slides, your notes would show up here if you have them. And then the other people will be looking at the audience window, which would be the slides themselves.
In Google Slides, you have to download it.
No, you can present it right from there too. That's what I was just doing. But a lot of people, when they first start using Canva, think you have to download it because it's Canva, but you can present right from Canva also. I don't know how to get out though. Oh, I know how to get it full screen now though. There we go. So yeah, you can do it in Canva if you want it to be more creative looking and more decorative. There's going to be more design options there. And really it'll depend on too, what resources you have at the wherever you're presenting. Like if you're presenting where you know you're going to have internet access, you won't need to download it. If you are not going to have internet access or you're worried that you won't, you will want to download it and play it from a download from either one, Google or Canva. And if you have PowerPoint on your computer, you can do it right from that too. It's going to be pretty much the same method. It'll look very similar. PowerPoint and the Google version are not. PowerPoint has way more stuff and way more features, I think, from my last experience with actual PowerPoint, but it's laid out very similarly where you can pick a template and go from there.
It gives me a place to start either which way and
Yeah.
messing around with it.
I used to create them when I was teaching. What I would do is I would create a PowerPoint and like during open houses and stuff like that, I would just have it playing all the time. I would have it set on play like a video almost. And but it slows down. Like I would set the amount of time for each slide so it was always playing on the big screen in my classroom for parents waiting to talk to me or that were exploring the classroom, things like that. I also used to make huge PowerPoints for the one job I had, just like spreadsheets. I used to have spreadsheets that were hundreds of thousands of lines long. And so they've changed the software on both of those since then. That was like when I was pregnant with my 24-year-old son. So it's been a minute. But but they're not that much different. They just, a little different navigation and whatever.
Right. I love it. What would you say has been the most changing growth books that you've read, or at least the top two at least?
Oh gosh, I do not know.
The
I've not,
motivation.
I'll be honest, I haven't read a book except for the one for Community Reads right now in quite a little while.
Mm,
Because I was just taking classes as a trustee and stuff like that, and took my broker's class this year, so I didn't really have time for reading
you have a lot of
books.
reading.
Um,
Study reading.
yeah, I mean, most of that's been like videos and stuff. So, um, Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck was one that I read a lot when I was teaching. We read it almost every year, I think, when I was teaching. Um, I'll be honest that some of the books I've gotten and read, looking at my bookshelf right now to see what I have in here. A lot of
You
the
said
books that I've read, I find, I don't know how to word this. You know how when you meet a real estate agent turned coach, and when they're talking to you, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're not coaching. Like, have you ever heard those people speak and you're like, that's not coaching. That's just telling me a story and that's not helpful. I need steps. I need actionability. And what you're saying is not actionable. It's just like, oh, I got on YouTube and made videos and now I'm a billionaire. Like that's not helpful.
right.
Um, and when people call themselves coach and that's what they do all the time, and that's all they ever talk about, it's like, you're not helpful. You're not. And I find a lot of books that are meant for helping business owners and real estate agents grow to be of that nature. I start reading them like, oh, yes, this looks amazing because of the description and the title, right? And then I start reading it and I'm like, great. So you went for a walk every day and now you have 9,000 customers. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I'll get more pissed off.
that's not helpful, right? Um, I do think that my bookshelf is really small down here. I can't see. I do think that paper.
You said Growth Mindset by Carol Drake.
Dweck, yep, it's a Dweck. So I think that this series, this is just one of them, Traction. This one's not so much a self like improvement book. It is like a how to manage your business book. It's like policies, procedures, like how to organize the organization. Some of it's not relevant for a solo agent because it's about working with teams and employees, but it gives us a really good platform for organizing our actual business and keeping us on track because it has like scorecards, it has trackers. You can download these trackers actually from their website on like how you're like doing with the different things. Um, Trying to find some more in here.
And this you can use for any businesses, not
You
just
really
in real
can.
estate. It's up. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, who's that agent? Daniel Beers from EXP.
Mhm.
They actually run their brokerage using this. When in one of our they used to do those meetings all the time. In one of those, they were talking about, and I started laughing. I was like, man, I've been using that book for a while. Um, but it talks about like creating your vision and like following your vision, and it has like using how to organize your business, and it's pretty easy to follow. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but and then the other one is that's similar, but is a little bit different ideology, but very similar, is the E-Myth.
How do you
E-Myth,
spell
like
that?
E-MYTH, E-Myth. And they actually have one that is for real estate agents. Um, And that's really about like, that reminds us that we can't do everything. Like we are not, even if we are the business owner and we are the visionary and we are creating this business, that we cannot be good at everything and we cannot do it all ourselves. And so that really like nails that down and reminds you that these are the parts that you're good at, do those parts, and then get other people to do the other parts to help you be successful. And then it also gets you into like a business mindset. One of the things it talks about, we have the HVAC version for our other business. And it reminds, because a lot of times people that go into the trades, they are a tradesperson first. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to own my own business and work for myself. Well, they don't always have the business skills to run a business. And so that book like says to them, like, you have to get out of your technician mindset and get into your business mindset so that you can run your business. And it kind of does the same thing for real estate agents too. Like you have to get out of the mindset of just the transactions and realize that there's a whole business that's revolving around you and those transactions.
That's is what I'm learning. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Those are in my
absolutely.
Audible now.
Maybe there's, oh, what's that one I just told my daughter she might want to look at? Um, I think it's called What to Say, and it's what to say for, they have a real estate version too. It's black. It's a little, I'm like picturing it sitting on my table at home. What to say.
Exactly what to say.
Exactly what to say. Yep. And they have a real estate version.
Bill Jones.
And that one you might find beneficial as well. That one is actually Jimmy Mackin. It looks
Oh, is
like,
it?
yeah, it looks like this. That's what the cover looks like.
Oh, oh, there it is. Yep. Exactly what to say for real estate. Okay.
Yep. And it's got like scripts and like how to respond to different things. See, I like the types of books that give me action.
Yes.
Without
That's what I
action,
need.
to me, it's like not helpful. It's just like, oh, great. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go walk on my, and I think the part of the problem too is like even between where like you live and where I live, like it's very different worlds. Like I don't have five coffee shops that I can go meet people at. We have one. There's not I can't like walk through downtown and see a bunch of people. I might see like 10 people in a 2 hour walk. Um so when I listen to people coach or write books that are like you just have to go out in your community or you just have to go into the neighborhoods, like we don't have neighborhoods here. Like I have houses on 30 acres and hundreds of
Right.
acres. Like I'm not, there's not like house. I'm not like, hey neighbor. Like that's just so I have to find books that are more generalized but more actionable than just like let's just go sit at the coffee shops all day and meet new people because that's not going to work.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Actionable steps, what you can implement right away, and you can start weaning out, and then you build that momentum, and then it's one where you can actually start growing in that space. But yeah,
Yes.
everybody is different market, so it shifts a little bit, but keep being creative and just to be seen and heard. I think that was my thing, how to be seen and heard.
Well, and I also
That's
think that it's important as you are looking at those things, right?
mhm.
Stop sharing. Thank you. So we won't stop sharing. Sorry. Um, as you're looking at those different things too, it's important to remember that you can't implement all of them. And that can be another overwhelm, just like, finding the groups that you want to be a part of. And so I like to pick and choose which parts out of things that I think will work the best and implement those one at a time instead of like thinking that I can take this book and now implement the entire book tomorrow because that doesn't work. Or if I read 4 books this month, I can't implement all 4 books and all the action steps that are in them. So I have to pick the ones that best suit my work and my goals and not just be like, oh, that's great. And then think I can just do them all because they all sound great, right? Just like all the events sound great, but I can't go to all the events. Um, Doing all the things that people say work, like sending out postcards and sending and doing pop buys and buying pies at Thanksgiving. Like all of that sounds great and fun. Sending gift baskets to teachers to the teachers lounge. Like if I made a list of all the things that I thought sounded great that would help my business and then tried to do them all, I would never do any business because I would just be doing all the things. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm delivering this to these people today and this to these people today. So it's important to look at those things and figure out which ones match your personality and your business and your goals the most and implement those, and to track if they're actually benefiting you. Because if you do it for 6 months and it's not like you don't have any new contacts, you don't have any new possible clients, like you don't have anything at all from 6 months to a year of doing the same activity, is that activity really the right one for you? And that's the other like aspect of all of that, whether it's going how you're presenting yourself to the community, to which actionable items you're using to grow your business. It's always about the accountability and then the data to back it up and if it's beneficial or not.
How long, based off of your experience, trying something new, do you give it? A week to implement the habit? 30 days, they say, 60
A
days?
habit takes a while. Habit takes what, 47 days, I think is the number. I could be wrong. You might want to Google that, but there is a scientific number of days it takes to build a habit.
Okay.
So to build the habit, you'd want to do it at least that long or longer to know if you're going to get it to stick. You'll know probably pretty quick if it's the wrong habit if you just refuse to do it every day. And if you're just going to refuse to do it every day, there's no sense stressing yourself out to try to force yourself to do it. Then it's time to say, you know what, this is the wrong habit. If you set the habit to be like, I'm going to have coffee with 3 new people a week, and you are not making any coffee appointments that in a week at all for weeks and weeks, 3 is too many. It's overwhelming you. So change it to 1. I'm going to do 1 coffee a week. If you end up not doing that, well, you need to kick yourself in the butt and be like, listen, if you're not meeting people, you can't do this business. You have to meet more people. And whether that's coffee or it's going to networking events, like it doesn't have to be one-on-one coffees. Those just tend to be the best for relationship building. But if you're just refusing to do any of the things that you put down as what you need to do to help your business, something has to change. Either you have to force yourself to start doing them, or you have to reconsider how you want your business to function.
All the questions I had, you knocked it out of the park.
Sweet. And we had
Thank
two
you, ma'am.
minutes.
Yay, look at it. 2
I
minutes to
like when
spare.
people get on and get questions. It's way more fun.
Oh, you're good.
Plus, it like makes me think. I like having to think.
Spontaneous on how and where you're at. And yeah,
Yeah, because when
how
I
do
looked
you,
at your questions, I was like, I don't actually know what she's trying to get at right now.
speaking Canva is a whole nother level, man. That can go
That's
far in
okay.
a resume.
That's okay. I can do this. I've been
Yes.
I've been talking to different people with different skill levels for a long time. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it does not.
Always makes for an interesting conversation and video, though.
It can.
I love it. I love it.
Well,
Well, thank you
awesome.
so
I'm glad I was able
much.
to help. I hope to see
Yes,
your PowerPoint in the future
I know, right? I hope
and
to
your
see it in front
slogan.
of you.
And
I
your
know.
slogan. Yeah, get that
I'm
book,
like,
Introvert's Guide to Networking, I think is what it's called.
introverts. Everybody always said, like, Kimber, you're such an extrovert. I'm like, not like I like to be in my comfort zone and a couple people here or there. But like you said, when you put me in front of thousands or a lot of people with a lot of eyes, it comes down to the core, like, how do I want to be seen and heard? And do I want to be seen and heard? And what does that look like when Kimber is seen and heard? You
That's
want
the
it, but
book.
the edge. I'm on the edge.
It says introvert between the and edge.
Oh, okay. The good things.
The introvert's edge to networking. I can
All
never
right,
remember the
perfect.
name of it.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, ma'am. I
you're
want to
very
respect your
welcome.
time. I
Yeah,
appreciate it and
yeah.
all
Have a
you
great
do.
day, and you can rewatch this on YouTube later.
Better.
All
Thank you,
right.
love.
You're welcome. Have a good
Bye.
one.
You too.
Bye.